Hey, my name is Patrick Skarka, and I'm going to cover the support for Kubernetes, some of the new views that we have across Kubernetes. I'm going to start off with a high-level intro to Kubernetes and some of the value that we drive with the new views, and then I'll hand it over to Angus to deep dive and provide a demonstration. So with that, Kubernetes is really a new area for us, and for those that aren't familiar, Kubernetes is an open source platform for managing and orchestrating containers, including Docker, across multiple hosts. So it was developed by Google, and it competes directly with Docker Swarm, which is another containerization platform. But Kubernetes is the #1 platform today, and Google even uses it for public cloud services as well. So some of the reasons why customers leverage Kubernetes include that you're really able to efficiently respond to customer demand, so they can deploy their applications very quickly and predictively. They can scale them on the fly and roll out new features seamlessly, and they can also limit some of the hardware usage and required resources only. So today with Kubernetes, this is a more very developed and maintained connector that we leverage to feed in data around the Kubernetes environment. And today we have, there's really two areas where we integrate for that connector. There's an API that actually will connect and can extract, all the relationships and configuration information around Kubernetes. And there's also something called a heap serve monitoring component of Kubernetes, and that's the piece that collects all the performance data and then feeds it directly into our capacity optimization database. So from a hierarchy level, on the left you see a little graph of the hierarchy within our workspace. And the connector will basically bring in all the relationships. At the top of the hierarchy are essentially clusters. And you can see kind of the cluster by IP address at the top of that hierarchy. That's really the physical or virtual cluster for the whole Kubernetes environment. And underneath that you have something called a namespace. Namespaces you can think of as a virtual cluster. If you have a shared environment, you may have a number of namespaces. And then under the namespace are deployments. Deployments are really the controllers that can control, all the updates and orchestration of the pods. Pods are the lowest level. Pods are you can think of as a container, one or many containers. And pods in Kubernetes are really that smallest deployable unit. So that's kind of that high-level hierarchy. You also have something called nodes, which are the actual worker machines and machines that actually, or minions that they're referred to that do the work. And then physical volumes are the data volume. So all of these automatically through that Moveri connector are, all that data and relationships are brought in for you, so you don't have to do any of that work. So one of the interesting Kubernetes as well is it provides resource management as part of that platform. So, when a developer, it's open source, when a developer assigns a pod, they can actually request it to have a certain level of quality of service guaranteed, different tiers. And you can see some of the different tiers within Kubernetes. Guaranteed means that you have dedicated resources for that workload or those pods. There's also burstable that lets you, maybe you have some dynamic demand in there. You can leverage a burstable, or best effort for some of those lower priority requests that maybe aren't as high important. So certainly it's a shared environment. You have to be careful of not overcommitting resources or requests within Kubernetes. And you'll still run into resource limits, hence the need for capacity optimization, around performance and even reliability issues. If you run out, you're going to start, having memory issues and shortages. So those are critical items that need to be eliminated and planned for. So with TrueSight Capacity Optimization 11, the new Kubernetes views are really net new, and you can see kind of just from the screenshots, they're out-of-the-box best practice views, very similar to the existing views we may have for other environments, such as VMware or others. But certainly, really designed to be able to improve visibility into the environment, understand your current utilization across all the dimensions of Kubernetes, and then identify any shortfalls, avoid capacity shortfalls across, clusters, nodes, pods, and all these various components within Kubernetes so that you ensure quality service. And then it's all available within the enhanced experience of the, HTML5 UI. So finally, before I turn it over, again, today, obviously, this is a net new capability. So we didn't have it before. It's new to BMC, and it's an area we'll get more into. But certainly, it's great to have an out-of-the-box now capability around Kubernetes, as it is the #1 orchestration platform for microservices and Docker. And again, gives us quick visibility into those environments to ensure that they're performing properly.